I knew my parents weren't coming to my wedding weeks before the day itself. They never said it directly. They just drifted. Replies got shorter. Calls went unanswered. My mom suddenly forgot dates she'd already confirmed. My dad said work was crazy right now, the same excuse he'd used my entire adult life whenever something important to me came up. Still, some small part of me hoped. I sent the final reminder anyway. Venue, time, dress code. Even added a little heart emoji, like a child trying not to sound needy. No response. The morning of my wedding, my phone stayed silent. No good luck. No, we're proud of you. Nothing. I told myself not to check again. I was marrying the love of my life. I had friends around me. I had a future unfolding in real time. I refused to let their absence poison it. But absence has weight. When I walked down the aisle, I saw empty seats where my parents should have been. People noticed. They always do. A few guests gave me sympathetic looks. One aunt whispered, "Traffic," like it was a reasonable explanation. I smiled and said, something like that. The ceremony was beautiful, intimate, real. When my partner squeezed my hand and whispered, "I'm here," it felt like a promise bigger than blood. The reception was joyful, but the question kept floating in the air like smoke. Where are your parents? I learned to answer it smoothly. They couldn't make it. No details. No drama. After the honeymoon, life moved forward. We settled into our routine. I focused on work, long hours, big responsibility, the kind of job my parents always dismissed as unstable and not impressive enough. They didn't know I'd been promoted. They didn't know my equity had vested. They didn't know I'd finally reached a place where I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. And honestly, I didn't tell them. 3 months after the wedding, I bought myself something I'd dreamed about for years. A Tesla. Midnight silver. Fully loaded. $120,000 before taxes. It wasn't about showing off. It was a milestone. A symbol of everything I'd built without their support, approval, or belief. I posted one picture on Facebook. Just one. Me standing beside the car. Simple caption. Grateful for the journey. Within an hour, the likes rolled in. Old co-workers. Friends. Even distant relatives. And then, my phone rang. Mom. I stared at the screen, stunned. She hadn't called me in months. Not on my wedding day. Not after. Not once. I let it ring. Then I answered. Her voice was suddenly warm. Too warm. "Hi, sweetheart. I saw your post. Is that your car?" "Yes," I said calmly. "Oh my goodness," she laughed. "A Tesla. We had no idea you were doing so well." I said nothing. She rushed on, filling the silence. "You should have told us. Your father would be so proud. We were just talking about you the other day." That was a lie. I could hear it in her tone, the performance, the rewriting of history. Finally, she asked the question she'd really called for. "So, when can we come see you?" I looked out the window at my driveway. At the car I'd earned. At the life I'd built quietly, without applause. And for the first time, I realized something crystal clear. They didn't ignore my wedding because they were busy. They ignored it because, back then, I had nothing they wanted to claim. But now they were calling. And I hadn't decided yet whether I was going to answer them the way they deserves. I didn't invite them over right away. Instead, I asked my mom a simple question. "Why didn't you come to the wedding?" There was a pause. The kind that stretches too long to be accidental. "Oh honey," she sighed. "You know how your father gets with crowds. And everything felt so rushed. We just didn't feel included." Included. I almost laughed. "You were invited," I said. "Multiple times." "Well," she replied carefully, "we didn't think it would be such a big deal." There it was. Not a big deal. I pictured the empty seats again. The polite smiles. The ache I'd swallowed so I could keep walking down the aisle. "But the car is a big deal," I asked. She went quiet. "That's not fair," she said after a moment. We're just happy for you. I let the silence sit this time. No rescuing her from it. No smoothing the edges. Mom, I said gently, you didn't miss a party. You missed my life. Her voice softened. We thought you understood. I did, I replied. I understood exactly how much I mattered. A few days later, my dad texted me for the first time in nearly a year. Nice car. Looks expensive. No congratulations. No apology. Just inventory. I didn't reply. The pressure started coming from other directions instead. An aunt messaged saying my parents felt hurt that I was distant. A cousin hinted that I was being cold now that I had money. Funny how boundaries become arrogance once you stop being useful. Eventually, I agreed to meet my parents for coffee. They arrived together, smiling like nothing had ever gone wrong. My mom hugged me too tightly. My dad nodded, eyes drifting toward the parking lot. I didn't miss it. So, my dad said, sitting down, things are going well, huh? Yes, I answered. They are. My mom leaned forward. We've been thinking, family is family. Life's too short to hold grudges. I took a slow sip of my drink. This isn't a grudge, I said. It's a pattern. They both frowned. You didn't show up when it mattered, I continued. But you showed up the moment you saw something you could be proud of. My dad bristled. That's not true. Then tell me, I asked calmly, what did you call me for? The wedding or the Tesla? Silence again. This time, it didn't get filled. My mom finally spoke. Quieter now. We didn't realize how much that hurt you. I nodded. That's the problem. You never realize, because you never look. I stood up, leaving my coffee half finished. I'm not cutting you off, I said. But things don't go back to the way they were. If you want to be in my life, it's because you care about me, not what I can buy. They watched me walk away. And for the first time, I didn't feel small. I felt clear. Because love that only appears when success does, isn't love at all. I didn't hear from them for a while after that. No texts. No calls. No passive-aggressive messages sent through relatives. Just quiet. And honestly, the quiet was peaceful. Then one evening, my mom sent a long message. Not a voice note. Not a call. Just words, carefully chosen, edited, rewritten. She said she'd been thinking about what I told them. About the wedding. About how they showed up late in my life but expected front row seats once things looked successful. She didn't fully apologize. Not really. But she didn't deny it either. That was new. I don't know how to fix this, she wrote. But I don't want to lose you. I read the message twice before replying. I'm not lost, I typed. I just stopped waiting. Weeks later, we met again. No car talk. No money. No performances. Just awkward honesty. It wasn't warm, but it was real. We're not suddenly close. We might never be. And that's okay. Because here's what changed. I stopped measuring my worth by their attention. I stopped chasing approval that only came with price tags. I stopped shrinking to make them comfortable. They didn't ignore my wedding because I wasn't enough. They ignored it because they couldn't see value until it was shiny and loud. Now, when my phone rings, I answer only if I want to. Not because I owe them access to my life. The Tesla still sits in my driveway. But the real flex. I built a life so full, so grounded, so mine, that losing their applause no longer feels like losing anything at all. And that's something no amount of money can buy.